please rise for the faculty procession.
Please be seated. Good morning, and welcome to Chicago Booth Diploma Ceremony of the inaugural class of the Astus and Lew Master in Finance program. We are delighted you can be here to celebrate the achievements of the students who will be graduating. Class of 2025, today is your day. It is a day to recognize your scholarship and celebrate your personal achievement. But it is also a day for you to show appreciation, to reaffirm your aspirations, and to reflect on the school and the unique community that embodies its values. The personal achievement of each of you here is predicated not only on your hard work, but also on the support of your classmates, families, friends, and colleagues. All of them deserve appreciation for the sacrifices they have made to support you. I would also like to add my thanks to the faculty and staff at Booth for teaching and supporting another remarkable group of Booth graduates. I'm grateful to our speakers today, Ralph Coyen, the AQR Capital Management Distinguished Service Professor of Finance and FAMA Faculty Fellow at Booth, who is also our faculty co-director of the Master in Finance program, and Ingrid Tierens, Managing Director at Goldman Sachs, for being here today to share their thoughts and advice. Finally, I would like to thank our graduating students. You have been exemplary members of the Booth community, both academically and socially. Your hard work during this rigorous journey and your resilience, focus, and social purpose have been impressive. Chicago Booth is dependent upon the engagement and success of its students, and it is the scholarship, as is the scholarship of our faculty. We love to brag about the excellence of both groups. But I think what ultimately sets us apart is our unique community, whose culture is based on a set of values seen in every action we take, individually and collectively. At Booth, we believe that to develop and support outstanding individuals as business leaders, we must instill a firm grasp of fundamental knowledge, plus the analytical skills to apply these concepts thoughtfully in the real world. Thus, our mission is twofold. First, to produce knowledge with enduring impact, and second, to influence and educate current and future leaders. Booth's greatest asset is our world-class faculty, who produce path-breaking ideas with global impact. In the Chicago tradition, this means asking and answering important questions about how the world works so we can understand it better and make superior decisions. The distinctive Chicago approach involves developing theories to explain and predict world phenomena, the testing of those theories with data, and the use of this analysis to inform important decisions. And I know several of you have taken my class, and most of my classes had those 3 points. Establish theories, test them with data, and use them in the real world, which is what you're about to take on. Our faculty span a wide range of interests and methodologies, from those who use machine-intensive computation methodologies on huge archival data sets to others who generate data from behavioral experiments or field studies. Second, we disseminate that knowledge so that it has impact, either by delivering superior education, school publications, and other channels, such as books. Recent examples of these books include Ayelet Fishback's Get It Done and Steve Kaplan's Advanced Introduction to Private Equity, and Matt Noto's Better Health Economics. You were admitted to and now graduate from the best business school in the world. Yeah, it's good. Yes, absolutely. Just getting into Booth, let alone flourishing in the program, is a huge achievement, and you are among a very small group that has had this opportunity, and as a matter of fact, you're the first group that has had this particular opportunity. This should give you great confidence in your ability to succeed in whatever path you choose. We want you to be lifelong partners with the school and with one another. I encourage you to view your graduation as the beginning of the relationship. You now join a network of over 60,000 Booth alums worldwide. This community is as strong as you are willing to make it. Those who invest in the network and give back to the school, not just financially, but through being involved in important other ways, find that it is an immensely rewarding experience. This is not just in terms of financial success and career goals, but also by gaining friends, helping others, and building a community. And the community is broader than Booth. You are joining a large and influential UChicago alumni network. For our part, we commit to providing you with a rich set of opportunities to continue the relationship with us, and in so doing, enrich your careers and lives. So let me conclude by congratulating you on an amazing accomplishment and wishing you all the best in whatever dreams you pursue, knowing that the Chicago Booth community is here to support you. Congratulations. Now it is my privilege to introduce Professor Ralph Cohen, who will be offering the graduation address this morning. Professor Cohen is the AQR Capital Management Distinguished Service Professor of Finance and Applied AI and the FAMA Faculty Fellow at Booth. He's an academic advisor to LSV Asset Management since 2024. Professor Cohen's research focuses on finance, insurance, and macroeconomics, and his research has been widely published in leading academic journals, covered widely in the popular media. Professor Coyne was awarded the 2019 Fisher-Black Prize by the American Finance Association, given biennially to the top financial economics scholar under the age 40. He was also awarded the 2021 Bernacer Prize, given to the best European economist under 40, working in macroeconomics and finance. He received both his undergraduate degree in econometrics and PhD from Tilburg University. Please join me in welcoming Professor Ralph Coyne.
Thank you. Good morning. It's an honor to have the opportunity to congratulate the graduates of the inaugural class of the Estenson Liu Master in Finance program. So please join me once more in congratulating the new graduates. You should be very proud of what you have accomplished. You took a leap of faith by joining a brand new program. You worked hard, and today you stand here as the first graduating class. I also want to warmly welcome your families and friends. As a co-director of the program, together with my colleague Stefan Nagel, today is a festive day for us and for the entire Booth community. Seeing this first class graduate makes the effort that went into building the program feel especially meaningful. Now, this moment resonates with me personally because it forces a question that I've been dodging at home. My wife and I have a 7-year-old daughter, and in that age group, she's been asking us a question that I find myself struggling to answer with much confidence, like, what can I be when I grow up? And I struggle because it assumes something that the world no longer offers, clear and certain directions. So the theme that I want to reflect on today is how to find direction instead of certainty in a world that keeps changing. Because we're living in extraordinary times. AI breakthroughs are making headlines almost daily, and many of us are wondering, like, what next year or the next 5 years or the next decade will bring. And from conversations that I've had with many of you, I know these questions feel real to you as you prepare to leave Booth and step into an uncertain but exciting world. And so I became first interested in AI through my research on financial markets. In my research, at its core, we're asking deceptively simple questions, like why are financial markets so volatile, and what explains the large swings that we see on a daily basis in asset markets. Now, with the holidays approaching, I must admit that this can be a somewhat stressful time for a finance professor, because at least once, usually over dinner with like friends or family, someone will turn to me and ask questions along the lines of like, is NVIDIA or Palantir too expensive? Are we in an AI bubble? And what to make of GameStop and Krispy Kreme? And what do meme stocks really tell us about market efficiency? And the honest, somewhat embarrassing answer is simply this, that I don't really know. And so for an academic, that uncertainty is actually exciting as a place to start. And it points to new questions and new ideas that we can explore. But I can also tell you that at dinner tables with friends and family, that answer is far less impressive. And I'm afraid that I'll disappoint you as well if you were hoping that I would settle those questions for you today. So together with my collaborators, I've spent much of the last decade exploring these issues. And a simple idea sits at the core of our research. To understand movements in financial markets, we need to understand the behavior of investors. The movements in prices are not some mysterious force of nature. They are the outcome of millions of decisions from like hedge funds, from pension funds, from individual investors, all interacting through supply and demand. And in that sense, predicting future returns really boils down to predicting future behavior. Now, a key challenge that you face in this research is that understanding which stocks investors perceive as similar and which investors behave alike. And that's where AI enters the picture. Large language models and computer vision models are designed to recognize patterns, to understand which words, which images, and which ideas are similar. With enough examples, a model can learn to distinguish between things that initially look remarkably similar. For instance, some of you may be familiar with the classic challenge of telling apart a blueberry muffin from a Chihuahua, which turns out to be surprisingly difficult. I know this because my 7-year-old daughter and I have spent a lot of time testing this, and she finds my failures very amusing. But with enough data, the model learns what matters and what doesn't, and it eventually will get it right. We found that these same AI models work surprisingly well to understand financial markets. They allow us to understand which investors trade on similar themes, which assets are viewed as substitutes, and ultimately how this matters for prices. Now, working on this research, ChatGPT was launched. And as these AI capabilities accelerated, we were excited to push this further. But we also learned, and actually this happened twice, that doing research in this very fast-moving environment is incredibly hard. Projects that we had worked on for a couple of years were suddenly overtaken by new models, model releases that could already do some of the things that we were trying to build. And that was quite humbling, but it also forced us to ask a question that is perhaps more important. Like, what remains really valuable when the tools change overnight? And so our response has been, for the last couple of years, to take a more radical approach. We asked, what would it take to automate everything that we do as a researcher? And so that means like reading papers, summarizing insights, generating ideas, writing code, refining hypotheses, reflecting on results, and so on. And so we'll be releasing some of that research very soon. Now, what we saw is that in early versions of that research, these models, frankly, were not very good. But once the pipeline was in place, something interesting happened. Because as new models and methods came out, we could immediately assess whether they actually improved on their ability to answer the questions that we actually cared about. And so what I learned from that experience is that embracing change, even when it's uncomfortable, creates remarkable opportunities. People and institutions, they tend to adapt very slowly and perhaps for good reasons. But that inertia is going to create space for those who are willing to experiment, to learn quickly, and to rethink how things are done. And in a world that's moving this fast, first principles and organizing frameworks become even more valuable. The tools will change and technologies will evolve. But the ability to reason clearly, to confront ideas with data, and to revise your views, that I believe is going to endure. And that's exactly what you've been trained to do at Booth. Booth didn't train you to memorize answers. It trained you to ask better questions and to change your mind when the data demands it. Now, I realize that all of this can feel a little intimidating in terms of what's happening with AI. When Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, announced GPT-5, he described it as having a PhD in your pocket. And I'll admit, that hit a little close to home. It's not exactly how I imagined my future when I was working like long nights during my own graduate studies. Luckily, later that same day, the model confidently informed me that the word strawberry had only 2 R's. So I think for now, my job is safe for a couple more months. Now, jokes aside, the reality is that these tools will increasingly be able to do many of the tasks that humans do today. The challenge and the opportunity for you all is to use this augmented intelligence wisely. And what excites me the most is that all of this will come naturally to you. You embraced uncertainty by joining a brand new program. You approach it with curiosity, with energy, and with openness. And along the way, perhaps without realizing, but you shaped the program itself. Stefan and I have learned a great deal from your ideas and perspectives. So when reflecting on my daughter's question from the beginning, I think the answer is clearer, and you have provided an example. Start before the path is clear. Build foundations that hold when the tools change, and stay curious about what comes next. And you've already done all of that. You joined a new program, you helped shape it, and now you are its very first graduates. So congratulations to the inaugural class of the Essence & Lou Masters in Finance program. We're all incredibly proud of you. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the University of Chicago Booth School of Business alumni speaker, Ingrid Tierens. Ms. Tierens leads the data strategy team within global investment research at Goldman Sachs, where her team contributes to clients' investment processes through quantitative analysis and integrating alternative data and AI in Goldman Sachs research. Earlier in her career, she led teams across equities execution, electronic trading, prime services, and equity derivatives in the Global Markets Division. Before joining Goldman Sachs in 2002, she worked on the buy side at Merrill Lynch Investment Managers, which is now BlackRock, and JP Morgan Investment Management in London. Ms. Tierens is a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Freedom and Prosperity Center and serves on the advisory councils for the CFA Institute Research and Policy Center and the Jacobs Levy Equity Management Center. She earned her MBA and her PhD from Chicago Booth and is actively involved in alumni efforts, including the Chicago Booth PhD Alumni Group. And most recently, she was recognized as a Knight of the Order of the Crown in Belgium. Please join me in welcoming Ingrid Tierens.
Thank you, Deputy Dean Marcello, for your generous introduction and for the honor of standing here in front of all of you. Today, we celebrate the pioneering decision-making that defines Chicago Booth and defines all of you. You're not just a class. You chose to be the inaugural class of a new program against the backdrop of a financial industry being reshaped by AI. That is courage worth applauding. Congratulations once again to the inaugural Asnes and Lou Mastering Finance class. And let's also recognize the parents, family, friends, and faculty whose support made today possible. In just 15 months, you've achieved remarkable depth, rigorous technical training, breadth across finance, and the soft skills to navigate an evolving industry. Being part of an inaugural class is a badge of honor. It signals an entrepreneurial spirit and a willingness to forge new paths, qualities highly valued by employers. My connection to Booth runs deep. From my own PhD graduation in this very building, to being a student, a faculty member for a trimester, an alumna, and soon a UChicago parent. It's also personal because Cliff Asnes was my TA for Gene Fama's class. Cliff also stood out for very neat handwriting. And I spent many hours with John Liu in Regenstein preparing for a finance prelim exam. UChicago will also be tied to my first flight ever from Brussels to O'Hare, a metaphor for taking off toward new heights. Your milestone today resonates profoundly with my own journey. At Goldman Sachs, we have a series called Letter to My Younger Self. Standing here before you, I want to share 5 lessons I wish I knew years ago and that I believe will remain bulletproof even as AI transforms our industry. Finance loves acronyms, so I couldn't resist framing them with the acronym Booth. Years from now, you probably will have forgotten my name or at best remember me as a woman from Goldman with an accent, but you should never forget Booth. So let's dive in. The B reminds you to be bold. Chicago Booth proudly says it, and you've already lived it. You showed boldness by joining this inaugural cohort. My boldest move was transitioning to electronic trading during the great financial crisis. I was 8.5 months pregnant when the decision was made, which probably stopped me from asking a few important questions. But while that transition was hard, it gave me the confidence to tackle many other challenges. Boldness means visibility. Don't be a bystander, be an active participant. But boldness alone is not alone. So let's move to the first O. I've been asked many times what the key to success is, and I always answer it with this one word: ownership. Ownership means you don't outsource responsibility. When challenges arise, chart your own course rather than wait for someone else to solve them. I connect regularly with anyone on my team, no matter how junior they are, and it's very easily visible whether someone takes ownership from the early days. Excuses fade, but initiative and communication endure. When the playbook doesn't exist, be the one to draft it. A lesson I take to heart as a member of Goldman Sachs' firm-wide AI steering group. The second O is for obstacles. Even when you take full ownership, you will still face challenges, and obstacles are where the learning curve is the steepest. That move into electronic trading happened just days after Goldman Sachs became a bank holding company. Obstacles were everywhere. Painful headcount decisions, intense regulatory scrutiny, and my own lack of algorithmic trading expertise. Add a newborn who believed sleep was optional, especially during the night, and it could easily have been a career ender. But facing those challenges taught me resilience. The differentiator is not in having an answer, but in defining the problem and creating the approach, something both prepare you well for. T is for ties. Ties are your force multiplier. Your degree opens the door, your booth ties usher you through it. Connections don't happen sequentially. They compound when nurtured. I'm seeing this firsthand yet again as I'm organizing a data science in finance conference. One whose speaker already linked back to Booth professors and even my Belgian alma mater. Networks grow in unexpected ways. So here are a few suggestions as you leave Hyde Park. Share booth ideas, volunteer your time, and rekindle your relationships. Keep your ties alive. And as your network grows and your ties begin to multiply your impact, the final lesson becomes even more crucial. Our last letter is H, H for humility. Success is a confluence of hard work, timing, luck, and the contributions of many others. Humility is recognizing that. At Goldman, we say, there is no I in team. Some of my best insights came from listening to junior colleagues. When high-frequency trading became a hot topic, even my husband's 90-year-old aunt was reading Michael Lewis's book, Flash Boys. I had to learn everything about smart order routing from the people reporting to me. Listening was both humbling and rewarding. The best careers blend modesty about what you know with optimism about what you can build. Colleagues changed my life. My parents' trust when I left my hometown changed my life. Education changed my life. Give back by paying forward. That is humility in action. Finance is dynamic. This master's program has given you the tools to navigate it. But tools aren't enough. You are the first class. Set the standard for this degree, for Booth, and for how finance professionals lead in an age of AI. Let boldness guide your choices. Ownership shape your work. Obstacles sharpen your judgment. Ties compound your impact. And humility steady your growth. The path ahead won't be linear. Embrace that. Keep taking first flights. They lead to extraordinary places. Congratulations, inaugural Asnes & Lou Mastering Finance class of 2025, and welcome to a lifelong Booth community.
As we begin the presentation of graduates, may I call your attention to the award of honors listed in your graduation program. Dean Rajan, these students have completed the program of professional studies prescribed by the faculty at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. It is with great pleasure and enormous pride that I present these leaders as recipients of the degree of Master in Finance. May I ask you to please hold your applause until all the candidates have been announced.
Giorgio Anthony Abu Jaude. Zhao Dong An. Rebecca Bisrat. Tommaso Calcagno. Chen-Shi Cao. Jiahua Chang. Kristen Chen. Mingyang Bian. Tinghan Chen. Xiang Chen. Zejia Chong. Nanding. Tiger Doan. Jiejun Dong. Zheng Hao Dong. Wei Du. Richard Parker Emerson. Junbo Fan. Manuel Maria Mains Fernandez. Sen Yuan Gu. Aryan Sanjay Gupta. Jia Yan Han. Zach Han. Graham Martin Harrison. Li He. Sitong He. Sipeng He. Matthew Evan Hoffman. Yu He Hong. Sean Howe. Candice Ho. Chuhan Ho. Kate Huang. Yifu Zhang. Jonathan Jacob Lane. Jiapeng Li. Jingru Li. Wan Shuan Li. Xinjia Lai. Xinbei Li. Shihan Liang. Zixuan Lin. Duani Liu. Wei Liu. Yiche Liu. Chen Xin Ma. Hongshu Ma. Yufei Ma. Xinyu Jiang. Dominic Martinelli. Champ McCorkle. Karen Mosayan. Wanchi Mo. Ajay Subramanian Natarajan. Ini. Alexander Johannes Nielsen. Goffredo Orlandi Contucci. Shaolin Qi. Hanzhang Xin. Julius Fun Rauch. Jay Ravi. Sean Guangji Shan. Hao Yuan Shi. Jiaming Xu. Zigui Sung. Shusu. Mingchen Sun. Sherry Tang. Ruohan Tian. Boyu Wang. Chuchuan Wang. Daisy Zhaoyi Wang. Guangyu Wang. Langyu John Wang. Ruilin Wang. Sophia Yafei Wang. Ji Kao Wang. Joshua Weiskopf. Pei Hun Wu. Zhijun Wu. Francis Jianghen Xia. Shidhe Shu. Jordan Shui. Mia Shui. Boshi Yang. Cece Young. Yazhen Young. Ziguan Ye. Junfei Yu. Tianhao Yuan. Little Jai. Tengwen Zhang. Si Zhong. Yuheng Sylvia Zhang. Kaiyue Zheng. Yutong Zhou. Zedong Li.
Okay, why don't we congratulate everybody first to walk through. Okay, so this now concludes the formal Chicago Booth graduation ceremony for the Asness and Lew Master in Finance program. I want to thank you all for attending the ceremony, and on behalf of the faculty and staff of the University and Chicago Booth want to extend best wishes to all graduates and their family and friends. Because of the achievements of our graduates that we celebrate today, each of you will always be connected to the University of Chicago, a connection that I hope you and we will foster for many years. And now, to conclude, will our newest graduates please rise? Congratulations, you are all now graduates of the University of Chicago Booth School of Business.